everyone, and welcome to the second Grand Prix of the 2020 Mar World Championship. This is Professor CC19, and welcome back to Goldenheimring, the home course of the team that won the 2019 Alg Olympics, the Gold Globes. We see them starting in 8th position on the starting grid with Glimmer. In the meantime, full of Team Moonglow, the team that won last week's Grand Prix, starting from the front row in 2nd place. We'll see if they can expand their lead or what the other teams will say about that when we begin in 3, 2, 1, and we're rolling. Jess, the pole sitters, immediately passed by Fire, was immediately passed by Purple of the Ultraviolets. They had a great race last week until the final lap where they lost out, just missed the podium. We're going to see how they adjust to this course. Extreme bits of speed down these long straightaways. And then all of a sudden changing, stopping momentum, going in a different direction. We'll see how these teams adjust. Right now, last week's pole sitters and finishers in, I believe, 6th place, the Yellah Fellas, off to a great start with Fella. And they're going to have the lead into lap number 2 over Flame and 2 shades of green. That is SEQUOIA and N, king of the Azure Royals after a disappointing week last week, already up into 5th place. We saw something similar last week. They got 14 spots gained in the first 2 laps before losing everything, falling back to their starting position, which was 16th out of the qualifiers and at the end of the last lap at the icy circuit. We'll see if they can improve this week on a different style of track. We see Fella slowing down in that stretch. These first few humps also going to cause some problems, especially right at the end. We saw a couple issues like that in the opening sector of the icy circuit. But now Fella starting to expand that lead over Prince of the Azure Royals and Blizzard of the Icers coming out of nowhere. Then it is Flame, of course, Flame and Blizzard of the 2 teams that are intense rivals, Fireballs and Icers. We'll see who else can get in on this. Ducking under that Trident branch once again is Jest of Jack's Jokers. That's how they got the pole, and it's how they're going to make up a few more spots going into our 3rd lap. But it is still Fella. In the meantime, full of Team Moonglow has fallen all the way back to what appears to be 15th. Disappointment for them early on, but as we saw with King last week, anything can happen over the course of the entire race. Still have 6 laps to go. Fella holding on to it pretty well early on. Now, Prince losing a spot to Fire, and Fire going to take the lead going down the stretch. Can they balance it out right at the end, or will they be passed? A big nudge to the right for Prince. It's actually going to hurt them. Going a little further left, which would have really helped, but in this case, it is going to be Fire holding the lead in this lap. Then Jest, Prince, and Blizzard. We see a few others. Violet and Fella, the leader going into this lap, slipping all the way back to 4th place. We saw Felly of the Yellah Fellas last week lead for a portion over on the ball and then lost it in the middle of the race, never really got their momentum back. And speaking of the O-Raiders, on the money, not known as much for being fast, struggling there back in last place. Still have 5 laps to go as we enter number 4. The end of this lap will mark the halfway point, and we see Jest, our pole sitter, pressuring Fire, who passed them right at the beginning. They're trying to get that pole position back. Neither of them with a favorable bounce there, and Blizzard of the Icer comes in, nudging Jest aside. It looks like Fire has gotten out of the way just in the nick of time to avoid all those impacts. Fella also trying to get some position back. Now Jest trying to track down Fire, appearing at a good angle to go right under that Trident branch, and does. Jest gets their pole position back going into the second half of this course. But slow at the final stretch makes it a lot closer. Here comes a number of others. Blizzard still in 3rd, then Fella, Prince, that is Dark, captain of the Black Knights, out of nowhere into either 5th or 6th, that is. But yes, 4 laps to go. The number 1 spot hasn't changed that much. It has evolved, but it has gone back to the same marble. Very close. It appears to be a 2-marble race in that opening stretch, Fire hopping right over. And just, once again, I said earlier, the end of those stretches, just like a particular portion at the icy circuit, causing some problems. In that case, for Jess, they're going to slip back what appears to be 4th place. And now it's turned into 5th with Prince rushing in. So now it is Fella trying to track down Fire. Icers in third, now jumping over for second place. Could we see the epitome of this rivalry play out in the second half of this course? The lead is expanding, even more so for Fire. Then Blizzard, Fella, here comes Prince once again, keeps showing his face towards the front. It looks like Jest has lost even more ground. A number of other teams showing their faces here. All of a sudden we see on the money of the O-Raiders into the position where they can get points. We'll see how many more positions they can gain. But they have to have worked very hard in the past couple laps. They were back in last place. And this is as big a lead as we've seen for any of these teams. Fire the Fireballs, nobody else in the picture for a good few seconds. A big gap back to Blizzard and Fella fighting for second place. At this point, the more they fight for second, the bigger the lead for Fire is. What just happened there? It looks like our cameraman just went way off course. It's going to be a few dollars out of Rashad's paycheck. But back to this race, it looks like the lead has come down slightly. But a number of other teams are trying to get in those second and third place positions. Fire having some problems hitting that Trident branch. In the meantime, Fella goes under and it's going to make up a lot of ground. Same for Purple. And Purple just barely losing third place at the end of that stretch back to Blizzard. I see Commander of the Aquamarines just barely in that sector. A marble that's very difficult to see, maybe one of their strategies. We're going into lap number 7. It is still Fire of the Fireballs. 2 more laps if anyone wants to get the lead back. At this point, if anyone wants to, it's most likely going to be Fella. Then Blizzard. The pain of rivalry, Fireballs always seeming to win. So maybe the bitterness of previous losses will motivate Blizzard to come from behind in this race. Maybe not so much. They're getting caught up with Commander back there, but up front, we see Purple of the Ultraviolets pressuring Fire. Sometimes I get the two members of the team confused. But yes, they're going to be competing every other week. And once again, very close, all 3 bunched up, and it looks like Fire is going to slip back to third place. Out of nowhere, on the money of the O-Raiders into second place. Fire going to slip back to 4th after that lap, but all of a sudden it is very close going into the final lap of this Grand Prix. And with this course, anything can happen. A good 6 or 7 marbles trying to get that lead position when it matters most. This is the time I have to make sure I do not get confused. It is Purple with the lead over on the money. I don't think I've said that name in a while. And then Fella now getting around for second place. They're trying to get their lead back from a brief moment in the second and third laps. Shade of the Black Knights. Seeing anybody else in this picture, there's Commander. There's Upstream of the Strawberry Streamers. After all the chaos, a chaotic final 2 laps, Fire is back into 4th or 5th, but on the money, out of nowhere, last place halfway through this race, and they are in a position where they can win. A nudge from the side from Commander. It's going to be on the money of the O-Raiders for the second Grand Prix at Goldenheimring. Commander in second, Fella gets the podium. Fire misses out right ahead of Blizzard, then Upstream. Full, Dark, Glimmer, and Purple of the Ultraviolets barely getting on the board with points. They're back in 10th. Everything happening in that final lap. The Pole Sitters, Jest of Jack's Jokers, they're not going to get any points in this race, just missing in 11th. Then another disappointing race for Prince of the Azure Royals. We see the podium positions here with O-Raiders, Aquamarines, and Yellah Fellas, everyone with points back to Ultraviolets in 10th. But what a race we saw today. Everything went wrong for the leaders in the final 2 laps. Everything got bunched up and we had no idea until the final sector. O-Raiders holding the lead after 2 races with 35 points over Aquamarines with 2 podium finishes and Team Moonglow back in 3rd. 4 teams still yet to earn any points. We'll have to see what they do next week at the Blazeway. This has been Professor CC19. Thanks for watching.